right, welcome back to Nadlin Forum Podcast Daily, everyone. Ruby here, joined by the always insightful Lior. Today, we're diving straight into what's shifting in the rental market lately, starting with the numbers we're seeing on apartment absorption. Lior, are you as surprised as I am that absorption rates for new apartments are ticking up again? We hit 48% in Q1 of 2025 after, well, a few lackluster years.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? Because for a while, it felt like every quarter we saw that rate drop a little. Now suddenly there's this small bump. Not huge, but after years of going the wrong way, even a 1% uptick is notable. We're at 48% of new apartments rented out within 3 months of completion. That's up from 46% just 2 quarters ago. I can't remember, Ruby. Did you say you had a story about a property developer on this?
Oh, I've got a cracker of a story, actually. Last year, I interviewed a Sydney-based developer who had absolute nightmares trying to fill units in 2022. You'd walk into one of his new buildings and, seriously, this is true, you could just pick whichever unit you wanted, no competition, crickets. But last week I checked in with him and he said now there tends to be like a line out the door for half the new vacancies. Nothing like what you're seeing in New York, Lior, but it's a real turnaround.
That lines up with what's happening here too. Construction's slowing down. Only 97,000 new apartments were finished nationwide in Q1. That's the lowest we've seen since end of 2023, I think. So fewer choices means the market's just getting tighter for renters altogether. It's a cycle we've been through, but this time the change feels pretty rapid.
Absolutely. And if anyone was hoping for more inventory, those hopes are probably dashed for now. Developers seem a bit spooked by high financing costs, so the tap's not turning back on anytime soon. I'm sure we'll feel this ripple for a while.
Right. And as you'd expect with tighter supply, rents are heading up again. The latest Redfin numbers say median asking rent hit $1,090 in August 2025. That's only a smidge, 2.6% over last year. But still, it's nearly back to the 2022 record. And with so few apartments being finished, landlords are, they're back in the driver's seat. I remember during the pandemic boom, landlords here in New York were handing out all kinds of deals. Free rent, fancy move-in gifts, whatever it took. Now, not so much.
Oh, it was exactly the same in Melbourne. There were all these 1 month free signs everywhere. You could almost treat yourself to a welcome basket just for turning up. But now I'm hearing those perks are drying up fast. It's, shifting. And instead, queues for viewings are back.
Yeah, I was literally at a viewing in Manhattan last weekend. Don't ask, it was chaos. Prospective tenants standing in a line, practically holding bidding wars in the hallway. It's totally flipped from last year. And by the way, I can't help remembering what we talked about in episode 3. The way older renters were changing the market. Now it feels like every age group is fighting for the same limited spaces as incentives disappear.
I love that you brought that up, Leo, because it's all connected, right? The moment those rent concessions vanish, it's a sign that landlords don't need to persuade people anymore, which is a bit of a warning sign for affordability down the road. It's a whole different vibe from even just a year or two ago. And you can actually see the sentiment shift, like on Reddit in real estate forums. Tenants are realizing it's back to tough negotiations, not shopping for perks.
And really, is the younger renters feeling the biggest pinch here? Recent survey data says 70% of Gen Z and millennial renters are struggling to make rent. That's massive. It means lifestyle changes, and frankly, it's not always the kind you post on Instagram. I saw stats. 40% are eating out less. A third are ditching vacations just to keep up.
It's so relatable, honestly. My cousin in Melbourne, she's 27, she had to pause her Europe trip this year, change jobs to something closer just to keep rent manageable. And this isn't just a niche issue, right? It's popping up in the States, across Australia, everywhere. Young people are just scrambling for a bit of stability as rents inch higher and home ownership drifts even further away.
Exactly. And it's not just about rents going up today. Permits for new multifamily builds dropped by 23% since the pandemic's peak. That basically means this shortage isn't going to improve quickly. Developers are holding off because costs are high, and honestly, why risk building when the returns might not be there? So this crunch for affordable rental housing is going to stick around for a while.
Totally. And I think for young renters especially, the days of picking whichever apartment you fancy are definitely on pause. Now it's about compromise, giving up space or location or both. But hey, if you're listening and you're in the thick of this, just know you're not alone. We're following this story, and honestly, I reckon it's only getting more interesting from here.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride in the rental market for a while. If you're a renter, a landlord, or just thinking about future investments, stay tuned. There's a lot more to unpack in upcoming episodes.
All right, that's it from us today on Nadlin Forum Podcast Daily. Thanks for tuning in. Lior, always great chatting with you.
Always a pleasure, Ruby. Catch you next time.